Okay, we are live.
Hi.
Hello, Facebook world. How are you all doing tonight? I'm Krista Kathleen, your friendly life coach, hypnotherapist, and co-founder of Fearless Public Speaking. And every once in a while, I like to do this series called, I don't even know what the name of the series is, Tell Your Story Speaker Series. I just worked out from Orange Theory Fitness, so I'm a little bit all over the place. I apologize about that. And I asked for volunteers on my Facebook page for women who are doing really badass things and who have really big success stories, but also kind of like messy journeys on the path to get there. And so Corinne was so brave enough to volunteer and share her story today. And I actually have I wanted to share with you all how we met. And there's a weird noise in the background. Corinne, is that coming from your end? Okay, it just stopped, I think. It's kind of like a clicking or something. I don't know.
I heard it too.
Yeah.
Like the mic reverberating?
It might be. It might be. Yeah. Sometimes if do you have like a microphone on your clothes or? Okay. Well, hopefully it goes away.
Yeah.
So the story is my mom and I were on a plane taking a mother-daughter vacation to Colorado, and we were sitting next to Corinne, and she was on her way to LA at the time. And we just felt this like connection and felt like, there was something there, and we wanted to, it's just like, okay, I need to meet this person, I need to talk to this person. And we ended up swapping stories. I was brave enough to talk to my neighbor on the airplane. Usually I don't do that. And found out that she does tarot card readings, and she's, really involved in the spiritual and the psychic world like myself, and ended up doing a card reading for my mom and I on our layover in Colorado. And we've stayed connected ever since. And so it's just kind of cool how that happens when you give yourself permission to actually go outside your comfort zone and talk to people, which I know can be scary. It's really scary for me, but then you get to connect with really unique and beautiful souls. And so I'm going to hand it over to you, Corinne, if you want to introduce yourself to our audience and tell them what it is that you do before we get into your story.
Sure. Okay, so my name is Corinne, and I am your neighborhood therapist. I am the founder of Sunray Readings, and I read tarot cards, and I help people every day feel better about their lives. I give them insight and awareness, and also things to do in order to transcend certain limitations. And I love it so much. I've also I teach metaphysics within that too. So that's me.
Love it. Perfect. Okay. And so you have such a big story. Like, where do you want to begin with the story?
You know what? I'm going to tell you the truth about this whole like my story thing. I have even an aversion to owning it. So that's what I noticed while I was like thinking about, scheduling this interview with you. And I was like, my story, which part? There's so much and it's so involved. So I really don't like talking about it at all. Like I made this conscious choice that I wanted to kind of disassociate with my story because I felt like I was allowing my story to define me and therefore define a lot of outcomes that I was having when I'm trying to like manifest something or just, with having a steady stream of being happy continuously without, using something outside of myself to do that. So, so I want to create a new story. I can tell you some of the old story because I did experience it, and but I don't like I used those, and I had some really traumatic things happen, but I used those stories or to evolve from it, and I learned from what happened there instead of kind of there was a time when I thought that these things happen to me,
Mhm.
and why are they happening to me? I do such good for people. I care about them. I'm out here trying to do God's work, God, and just put whatever you deem as like your higher power there,
Mhm.
universe, source, doesn't matter. It's all the same to me. So I guess if I want to start somewhere, uh, you know a lot about it. What do you like? I don't know which part do you want?
So
Because
I have a question for you. What is the part of your story that feels like there could be the most shame attached to it, or the most embarrassing, or that was the hardest part for you?
it's so long ago though. Uh, well, when I got a few little things I can throw out there that carried some shame with them for a while, but not anymore. I was raised by two lesbians,
Oh.
and so I never had a father. It was two women at all times, and it was a very uh, pretty poverty stricken type of upbringing, like, really raised, you know, in the hood for real.
Mhm.
So there's that part. And like on my path, I guess, of looking for some type of love or some type of validation, I ended up with a man who was really violent and very abusive to me and overpowered me in all aspects. I was very young, I was 14, and wanted me to have a child, so that I guess he thought it would like make me stay with him forever. And I ended up getting pregnant, but a lot of different things happened in that time period, and I kind of like escaped and some things like that. So it was like really pretty traumatic. And a lot of people wanted to talk me out of having my son because I was young. I was 15 years old. So they were like, "You're gonna ruin your life." Everybody was kind of against that. So but I saw, and I was starting to believe them. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even think it was really real. And I saw him on the sonogram, and I was just like, I just knew so strongly. I was like, he has to come. He
Mhm.
has to be here with me. And I'll tell you, when he was born, actually and I escaped from his dad and like to never be found again. And I spent a lot of years like, making sure I wasn't accessible to him, because he promised to kill me, if he
Mhm.
ever found me. So, and I believed him. So, but when I had my son, I used to think that I loved like my mom or my family, like I loved them. But when I had him, it was like instantly I felt this such a powerful love like never before.
Mhm.
Like everything changed, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I knew I would like lay down and die for this kid." And but more importantly, I knew I wanted to live for this kid. And so everything was about him. Like all the goals that I had professionally were in an effort to provide him with a mother who he could be proud of and would set a good example for him, and teaching him about how to be a man and be
Mhm.
respectful of women, and just really very in tune. And I ended up having another son too, and they're both good men. Like I'm proud of that. They're sensitive to women, and
Yeah.
so that's one good. That's He changed my life. I gave birth to him, and he gave birth to me at the same time. So
That.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for you. I know I saw that you were
Yeah.
having some little, and I was like, just wait,
Mm.
just wait. It's some stuff. It's not even something someone could have described to me and I would have even understood.
Yeah.
So
I love, thanks.
excited.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that, because like, I mean, being pregnant with my son, so I'm 6 months now, and like I've already felt things shift, you know, just personally and professionally starting to get ready to become a mom. But I know it's going to be like, yeah, actually holding them in my arms is going to be
Yeah.
like mind blowing. And
Yes.
I can't wait.
I'm getting chills now just thinking about what you're about to experience. I'm super excited for you for that. So, and then you get to actually, you know, you don't mold them, but you do kind of mold them. I mean, you know, I read so many things about, like, because I'm a Capricorn, and not that that has anything, you know, but I will say that I have not always been the best before then at like giving and receiving affection and things like that. But I knew I had such a powerful love. I wanted him to know that he was loved. I'm like, how can I do it? You know, so I actually had to force myself in the beginning to do certain things like that were out of my nature. Because I also wanted him to be independent, I guess, when he could rolled out. I don't know. But I read this book called 101 Ways to Make Your Child Feel Special. And I just implemented those suckers like their whole lives, you know, just above everything else. I wanted them to know that they were loved. That was my main thing. So everything else, but you know that you're loved. You may not get to do certain things, but you know I love you, you know. So yeah.
Amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
couple things. First of all, so I'm a Capricorn too. So
Yeah.
is that do Capricorns have trouble like expressing their love or showing their love, or tell me more about that. I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah, because typically, and I won't say that all Capricorns are like this, because everyone has their natal chart and they have different influences. But typically, Capricorns were raised in some type of environment where it wasn't really okay to show how they felt. And like, you're too sensitive, you got an attitude problem, you take everything personal, all these types of things over a period of time teach you how to not say anything. Or, you know, you watch other people and big, huge emotional outbursts, and you watch how other people interpret that. And so you get the idea that, you know, certain things need to be kept private, you know. So, and sometimes I think it can be so private that, you know, you got to actually work on, you know, loosening up and just being like doing different things that you haven't done before, and, you know, embracing people, even, you know, like physically embracing them, when it doesn't feel like it's right. Like hugging people often will help you. Like anytime you see somebody, you walk into your house or your mom or, you know, anybody you see that you like, hugging them first and hugging them when you leave, like that helps a lot with us, because we're tough people, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We endure, that's for sure.
Yep. Cool. Okay. That's my assignment after today. Hug more people. So
Yes.
yeah. Another question for you is I don't know too many people who was raised by lesbian moms, and I think that's incredible. But I'm sure that because it's not part of the norm, that came attached with some interesting experiences. How did people like respond to that growing up? Like, did you ever get made fun of, or just what was that experience like growing up?
Well, first of all, I didn't know that anything was wrong with that. I didn't see that as something that was, you know, because I was raised with it ever since I was born. But when I was like 5 years old or something, my mom was with a woman, and this woman actually was married before and divorced her husband, and she brought her two kids over to the house, and we were like a blended family, and they were much older than I was, and that did bring a lot of, you know, because I mean, you can't really blame them. They're confused, you know. They saw one way for all this time, and now here their mom is with this other woman. And so when they came in with different ideas and how something was gross or whatever, that's what I started to think, like, you know, is there something wrong with this? But outside of the house, I was so quiet about things no one ever knew. And my mom was not, you know, trying to let everyone know. Although when I look back on that, I feel like people could have definitely known she was a lesbian just by like the way that she carried herself. But yeah. So I just felt I never really had a problem. I just thought that, if she's happy, it can't be wrong, So
Definitely. Yeah. Love that. Okay, so let's keep going with your story. So you are with this man. He convinces you to, if you really love him, essentially like to have his child kind
it
of.
was more of a sneaky thing, but
Okay.
it wasn't spoken about.
Okay.
It's something I look back and go, oh, that's why he was so adamant during that time period, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you have your first son at 15. And then what's like the next major milestone in your story after that?
The next major milestone was I ended up like you would not believe the type of things that people actually said to me since I did have him too. It was like, you're gonna be another statistic. Like these were actual words. And to me, like it still boggles my mind when people say things to other people that's so, derogatory or negative or, and so I ended up like being kicked out of high school because I missed too many days. I was whatever. It was like my second semester of senior year. That's when they did that. So I was this close to the end, and they were like, "Get out of here." So I did, and then I got my GED, and I was like, so I I did not want to live in the environment that I was in, and more importantly, I just didn't want my children to have to grow up in, you know, squalor. I guess I don't know another like more current word for that, but not at this time. um, but so then I was like, it's so gung ho. I was like, I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna get a good job. I'm gonna get a good career, and we're gonna not be poor anymore. And so once I finished my GED, I was dead set. I wanted to be a nurse, and I had been wanting to be a nurse forever. And I got to the college, and they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're not offering that program anymore." And I was like, it was the closest college, and it was probably like 20 minutes for me. And so I was like, well, I'll pick something else. And so I picked paralegal. So I went to school to be a paralegal. And from that, I set my sights on, I wanted to work at the largest firm there in Missouri. And I did. And then I got chosen to be on this case that anybody who knows me knows about this, because it's still to this day the largest civil litigation case in US history. And I'm pretty sure like people get tired of it, but there's something very important about that. Is I worked that case. It was in Washington, D.C., and I flew back and forth. And but the woman who worked that case also had that baby at 15 years old, where they said she wasn't gonna do anything, that was great. And it's still now to this day it is. So, and it was United States of America versus Big Tobacco. That was the case I worked. So, that's going down in the books, and I was there.
Wow.
So I guess that was the next thing. And yeah, so by that time though, I had already like it taught me so much living in DC or like working in DC and being around so many people that were wealthy, tobacco CEOs, big heavy hitter attorneys, litigation attorneys, like DC in general is like, feels like snobby money, which I'm not mad at. I wanted to learn how to live in it, and so I grew so much. I grew out of the guy that I was with at that time.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I just went ahead and cut that off. And that is something I want to like, I just wanted to make sure that people, not that they have permission, but they can see that when you stay in a situation, because I was with them for 8 years, when you stay in a situation and you give it all you got, you're doing everything you can, and you start to see patterns over time, and you accelerate and grow beyond them, and you're still like, you get more and more dissatisfied with not like even cheating or abuse or anything like that, but just you know, the vibration of them, it's okay to, you know, let them go. And I had the kids and I was like, they're going to hate me because they're boys too. And, but I was like, I just can't, you know, I wanted to be happy. And he just wasn't doing anything. And just like, for the record, no shade to him, love and light to him always. He's still doing the same stuff. So that's like all years later, you know, I mean, he's somebody else's, you know, issue to deal with. But yeah, so I did that. And you know, throughout this time though, like I've done other things to it, just to, it's so jam packed and I feel so awkward like talking about myself this much, you know. So during that time I had already, like, you know, before I went and became a paralegal and did that trial, I moved to California and had great time, came back with another baby, and you know. So anyways, but through this time though, I was still like in my private time doing tarot stuff. I was reading, studying. I was always studying something that was like in the unseen. And when my mom died, and that was the next huge thing.
Okay.
That was pretty, it was like when she died, it was like before death, after death. It was like that big, you know, kind of how they do that AD and BC for Jesus. It was similar to that.
Yeah,
You know,
I can relate. Yep.
yeah. So, and so that shook everything, my whole entire world. And at that time too, I was going through something that's called your Saturn return. And I didn't even know, and this is something that everyone goes through. If they reach a certain age, if they reach, you know, 28, 29 through like 32, and then it happens again at like 50, 48 through 52 or something like that. It's where Saturn returns back to its natal place when you were born, and it's coming back around to be like, all right, so it's time to get busy here. It's time to shake it up. It's time to change some things and set you on your path. And a lot of times people will experience some deep upheaval in some type of way. And mine was her. So, and it was pretty abrupt. It wasn't, not that death is like ever expected really, but sometimes people can be sick, you know, for a period of time and you kind of know, but it wasn't like that. So it was like, and she was really young. So
I've never heard of this. So this Saturn return. So you said, how often does this happen in someone's life?
Every 29 and a half years.
Interesting. Because that's when my big upheaval was right around at about 28, 29 years old, when I got divorced, lost my nursing job, sold all my like that was not, like you said, when you have your BC and your AD.
Yes.
That's so interesting, because like I was like, why is this happening at this time? So
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And if you haven't had a chart done, or you don't know like all your placements and where everything's at in your full chart, you can go to www.alabe, ALAB as in boy, E.com, and you can do a free birth chart. So that way you can at least see where everything's at. So like my Saturn, so when Saturn comes back around, it operates in a certain zodiac sign. So my Saturn operates in Virgo, which is everything needs to be on the up and up. Things are like going to a more spiritual direction in a very powerful way too. And that's exactly what happened. But I didn't know that, you know, I wasn't prepared. I hadn't even heard of it at that time. So yeah, so after that, my mom used to read the tarot cards, but she would use a book, and she would like, it was like she played around with them. She wasn't really serious about them. But she gave me my first deck, and that is like, it's not how you have to receive them, but it is a very good way. It's like, it's almost like you're ready for it. You know, your soul is calling for it, so you're ready. And you know, I was like heavy in it, but I was using the book too. And so when she passed away, something that we talked about, because she used to talk about when she'd be gone, like, how me and my sister should be or whatever. And she would say, if I go before you, then, I'm going to send you some type of sign. And so when it happened, I had to get through that first initial like blow, deeply like split in half type of blow. But then I pulled out my tarot because I really wanted to know if she was okay. I wanted to know, if she existed on the other side still, if she had consciousness. And so I pulled out the tarot cards and I just asked, and I only needed to turn one card over. And my mother was a Leo, and the sun is like the Leo's ruler. So like for us, it's Saturn. And I want to tell you about the Saturn Pluto conjunction a little bit before I get off here, because it matters for us. It matters for everyone, but we're Capricorns. So but so the sun came up on the cards, and the sun in the tarot represents happiness, elation, bliss, like, such happiness. And so it was like this proof to me that she was, existing. And not only that, but she was happy. And I was like, man, like, I want to be happy too. But life was like, was just fine after that. I didn't fear death anymore, because I thought it's a win-win. If I exist, I get to experience all of this. And if I die, whenever I die, I get to, see her. So, yeah. So I was like a zombie for like a year though. After that, I don't really remember much because I was too busy like studying and trying to get on the other side and still, be alive at the same time. Oh. So I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you're keeping me intrigued. Like, keep going.
Okay. So, okay. So she passed away, and life sucked big time for a long time. And there are some things that I used to do, and I don't know if it'll be helpful for anybody, but maybe it could be, because it was helpful to me. And I would write in my journal just like I was talking to her directly. Like I would tell her what was happening on that day. I told her what happened during her repast. I talked to her out loud. I begged her to be coming into my dreams, and she did. She still does a few times. She does. She's present. It's almost like when someone passes away, I think they can do more for you in some way, than they ever could in a physical body. And she feels more like she's, everywhere. It's like her essence. And she's on my mind every day. It's not something that like goes away, but you just start to learn more. Because I'm like, if there's good in every situation, which is what I had believed, then what was the good in that? What was I going to get out of this? The fact that she died, and so traumatic. And really so much came from that. Actually, I changed my whole life. I stumbled upon the School of Metaphysics in Maplewood. And I love the School of Metaphysics. I will always sing the praises of what I learned there. And I lost my job, similar, because I was like, I don't give a shit anymore. I was like, fire me. I hate this place,
You lost your paralegal job? Is that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. After like 9 years, I was there, and I had already gotten a gold medal, so I was like, what else? Yeah. So I lost the job, and then I drew out my 401k, and I was like, I'm just going to finally feel what it's like to actually not have to work for a while, and I'll just live off this money. And, it may not have been the smartest thing to do, but I did it. And because of that, I had this time. And so I went to the School of Metaphysics. They were talking about some stuff that was different and some things that felt familiar, but they were weird to me. They were so weird because they were like so open and loving, and they wanted to hug me and touch me and stuff. And I was like, whoa, because, and then just they were giving me a lesson, and there was a lot of people that had come that night, but they gave me this lesson. I was reading through it, and I just felt like this is what I've been looking for. Because what I was looking for was happiness, first of all, peace of mind, the feeling of security, and something that's lasting, not those fleeting things that, you can partake in certain things, and drugs and sex and, whatever, eat food, stuff like that. And all of it, and shopping and stuff that can bring you this temporary satisfaction or happiness. But I wanted something that was deeper than that, because I could see that it wasn't lasting. So I found so much there. Like, they taught me so many things, and like taught me how to concentrate, how to meditate, how to visualize, how to really use my thoughts for creating in this life, and that I was creating all the time, and just how to interpret my dreams. And then I ended up, I was so passionate about this study because, and they were like, okay, Corinne, you're going to have to stop like smoking weed and, drinking or whatever. And I was like, all right, I'll try it your way, because they were like, you want to do this with a clear mind. And I said, okay, I'll be a scientist, I'll experiment and I'll try it. And they were right. They were right, about how much how much awareness I gained, and how much power over my own thoughts and emotions, and just so many really very, very healthy things. Getting people together, showing them genuine love. Something that was interesting to me too, and I don't know, you might resonate with this a little, I don't know. But my teacher actually, she was like, she showed me this unconditional love that I my mom did her best. And I really believe that everyone's parents do the best that they can with the consciousness that they have. They do their best. I believe that wholeheartedly. But I don't think that she actually knew how to show me or help me feel that I was loved unconditionally, because I did a lot of bad things, having a child so young, I did. But this woman, like, she loved me so much. And I was like, how does she love me when I've done so much bad shit? And like, thinking about that was very interesting. And even now to this day, it's like, what is it that you hold inside yourself that makes you feel like you're not worthy of being loved, so that then you don't believe it when other people are really loving you? And so that was a big thing. And I had all this armor that I had developed over, years and years. I needed to be tough. I needed to survive. And then with her genuine love, she created this environment for me that was safe and open. And she was like, I don't care what you did. It was like I wanted to confess everything to her. Like, are you sure? Are you sure? And she was like, it doesn't matter to me, because I see who you are, now. And she just, with that, like, all these layers started to come off me, and I started being able to talk to people and connect with them. And I was loving them too, people I didn't know. And I'm like, whoa, this is cool, and I still do. I have, like, sometimes I can even shed a tear about how I feel, how strongly I feel about like the masses, you know, humanity, because I know that people are going through some hard stuff, you know, and I know what it feels like to feel like shit. And I know what it feels like to feel like you're unlovable and unworthy and depressed and clinging to something for happiness. Like and I've been through so much stuff, you know, and but now I know how to create that happiness within me on a regular basis without using something that's outside of me, just me straight up. I can look at the conditions as they are now, and I can, you know, go right here instead and cause the happiness for myself. And while I was at the School of Metaphysics, I started teaching. After all, and I loved it so much. So many people used to come and they wanted to listen to me talk, and I was like, the school grew big, really big, and I became a director there, and we would do all of these things for the community and humanity. We had like a meditation, I think it was 2012. We hosted a meditation session for 20 hours and 12 minutes to bring in the new year. And the whole focus was like having somebody there meditating at all times, could be anybody, for world peace. Like it was real, you know? And I don't know, I just started thinking more outside of myself, and then also seeing my connection with all that exists, like truly. So I did a lot of things there, and I loved a lot of people. I still do. I'm still in contact with a lot of people and some brilliant minds. And it's very, I think it feels really good too when you are in a group, or when you're studying something that everyone else is studying too, or trying to get to a different level, and everyone else is working together to do that same thing. It's so supportive, you know. It's like you get it, right? And then you're like, what? Yes, you know, just so many different revelations come from collaborating with people, and sharing who you really are. That's the other thing. Being generous with who you are, sharing yourself with people because they need it. I need it. You know, humanity needs it. So some people don't like to speak about what they think or what they feel because it won't be met with, you know, open arms or whatever. But, you know, it more often than not, it does. And it helps people wake up, you know, from whatever they might be experiencing. So
love that. So let's fast forward then to like your business today, and you're doing tarot card readings for people. And I just like, I want to dive a little bit more into that of like, you know, how do you really help people, you know, through tarot card readings, and what does that look like? And what are you able to help them achieve? Like, give us a little bit more of the inside story.
yes, sure.
The day to
Okay,
day.
so right now, because I moved from St. Louis to California, I just did that actually like a month after, you know, we met each other for the first time. I had that visit. I came back, I packed up, I was gone. And that was abrupt. And, you know, a lot of working through. But so a lot of my clients became like over the phone, and I perfected more of the readings over the phone now. And so what happens in tarot is that my highest self connects with your highest self, and then we use the cards to interpret what's happening. So the thing that I like to do the most is, if someone is struggling with anything, they could be struggling with anything, but this is the majority of what I see, is either somebody has gone through like a really hard, difficult breakup, or they're really super stressed out in love, they're super stressed out in money, they're like running up against, you know, they keep trying and trying and trying, and then they run up against, you know, some limitation every time, type of thing. So then they come to me, and then I love them, you know, and and I just get in the zone. I just feel like this, it's such a strong energy. And I think it comes from the desire to want them to be happy. And that's still without anyone else. So I'm doing it for me, and I want that for other people too, because I feel like that's the most lasting way. But also helping people be able to communicate and harmonize with other people as well when they're like pissing you off and creating havoc and stuff like that. So I'll read the cards, and the focal point typically will be like, what does this person need to know most right now? And then when we get to that core issue, it affects all areas of your life. So if they had something going on in their love life and they have something going on over here in their career, it's going to be centered around one core issue at that moment, at that time. So we just dig it out. And then I am not like a scary tarot. I don't believe in it. I feel like we have enough fear that we're fighting, with ourselves most of the time. So I know that there's good in every situation. So I make sure that we talk about that. If I see something that's coming up that might be difficult, then we're going to talk about that before it even comes up. That way you're prepared, one of my, it's kind of evolved to the way that I'm doing tarot. It's like, it used to just be people just call me up for readings, and now people are, yes, getting readings, but also like there's more happening there. So I'll just use one example of recent. So she was in a really bad relationship, really hard emotionally, real wrapped up, and then she needed to break away from it. So instead of, and I called it breaking up without breaking down, just lovingly, because that's what happened. She would get a reading like once a week. And then we would just keep monitoring, keep making adjustments, keep tweaking. And then she, whenever I felt like inspired to send her something, I just would. And she knew that like she could feel the light of my attention, with her, supporting her through that. And she ended up, it took maybe a month and a half, 2 months or so. And then she went off to spend a month in Bali, living her best life. And I was and I still am so proud of her. Oh my gosh. I am so proud of her, because that was a difficult one, for her emotionally. And I know what that feels like. You know what that feels like. A lot of us do. And I didn't have anybody to hold my hand out of it, but that's kind of what I do with that too. So I just have a genuine desire for people to feel good and to be relieved of some of that guilt and shame and, just the pressures that they feel, because I know about that, especially as females. And I know men have their own set, but I know about mine personally, and what the type of pressures that we're up against. So not only do you have your relationships, but you have every other pressure, coming at you, and responsibility. So I just help them through. I just help them. I touch base, and we work it through. We just keep going. It's a process. And she's doing very well, so that's just stuff I do. I just love people.
Really, it's not a lot different from what I do. Right?
Yeah.
Like I have done card readings. I know we talked about this on the plane, but like right at the end of the day, it's like connecting with that person's soul. And it's just being like a channel and a guide based off where they're at in life and where they want to be going. And, energetically, like holding their hand and helping them to get there. And so that it's just so neat to see how it can like manifest and show up in different ways to help people when you're doing it from this like more spiritual, energetic work. But
for sure. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's why I call myself a therapist, I guess, because, I'm like, doing a little bit more than like what, and I'm not trying to compare myself, but just what I've seen with tarot readers in general. They just tell you what's going on, or they forecast things. And I'm not a big, I believe that the future is fluid. And so if we're doing this and you're saying this is the outcome, then and you don't like it, then let's like do some different stuff now so we can affect that, you know? So
Yeah, I like that.
yeah.
Cool. Well, we're getting to the end of our interview, and I'm really curious. I want to wrap up with what you were talking about earlier with the Saturn and Pluto.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and just to tell you this too, I just did my first video on this topic on my YouTube channel. I'm going to do a series because it's some deep stuff.
Okay.
And a lot of people are kind of tripped out about it. This is the Saturn Pluto conjunction that's happening this whole year and just started like a week and a half ago or so. And it's both of them are tag teaming really, and they're coming in. And the way I view it is that they're coming in like special forces to help us get to the next level. So Saturn comes, and Saturn brings with it discipline and commitment and follow through, and day by day, you know, accomplishing goals and things like that. And some people can look at that as a bad thing, but that's just however you perceive, you know, being disciplined. Capricorns don't mind because we're ruled by Saturn. And so we just naturally know it's going to take some every day, you know. We probably get frustrated with the time frame, but you know, we still work at it. And then Pluto, you have Pluto that's the Scorpio's ruler. And Pluto's like this deep, dark, mysterious planet, you know, and oftentimes is known as death and rebirth. So when Pluto comes in, or when Scorpios come in, and God love them, you know, they're passionate about everything under the sun. They're so passionate. They can come in and destroy, but it's for the rebirth. It's like rising out of the ashes. That's their cardinal type of, or their archetype is a phoenix rising out of the ashes, reborn again. So these two are coming together. They're affecting everyone. So basically Saturn's checking in and saying, okay, I'm here now. What have you been working on? And what would you like to work on? Where do you need more discipline in your life? Things that are nagging at you and things that you've been feeling like, I keep feeling like I'm going to do this. I keep feeling like I want to change jobs. I keep feeling like I want to leave this person. Whatever, now's going to be the time. It's going to happen. It's like, you know, once you dilly-dallied enough, the planets lend their energy to us, you know, to help us get through it, break through, and come out on a new level. So I like it. I think that all the stuff that doesn't serve us anymore, the unhealthy things, those things are getting like pulled away by, you know, Pluto's like, go ahead and take care of that. And Saturn's like, all right, come in with this, you know, now we're going to do some new stuff. We're going to really get to it here. And it's some good energy that the world, you know, can use. And I just really, truly believe that we should all be paying more attention to the planets, because just look at them. They're like sitting up there. We're all sitting here. We're suspended in midair, just like all of them. Perfect placement, perfect design. It just makes sense that, you know, our life is the same, you know, perfectly designed as well. So,
yeah, I love
yeah.
that. I could just listen to you talk all day about this.
Thank you.
So the question I always like to ask the people I'm interviewing is, if you could give one type of advice for our audience today that you feel like is really going to like stay with them and could like change their life, change their mindset, like what do you want to leave our audience with today?
I want to tell them that you are valuable and you are important in this world, and your existence matters so much. And you don't have to do anything for that. Just your existence Sorry. I had a little somebody wanted to hear that too, I guess. But so yes, that's what I would like to say in short, is that you are worthy, you're valuable, the world needs you here, and you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. So and then you can go and look at my channel whenever you want to. I'm going to put stuff out there because my main intention is that people have a place to land whenever they just need something to pick them up, or, you know, they're feeling like crap and they think they're alone, because you're not alone. Your soul is sitting with you too at all times. That's something else I want to say, is that your soul is sitting with you in appreciation for all the choices that you're making. And even though sometimes you get all wrapped up, the soul is sitting there rooting you on. You have like whole spiritual team with you that's like, yeah, you know, they're so proud. And sometimes we just get so caught up in some small things that they don't matter. The bigger picture is we're doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So
that's a beautiful,
and I care. I hope you all are doing well and you all experience love and really happiness. That's what I want for you guys.
Well, thank you, Corinne, for giving us that. I think that's a beautiful gift. I'm going to take that with me.
Oh my gosh, I can't hear you.
Oh no, what happened? That's weird.
I think can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think, you know, when it came, maybe this one, I don't know. What do you need from me right now?
We're good.
We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. It was so good seeing you too. You're so beautiful. I just love it. Okay. And, you know, message me. I'm here.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.